It may surprise you to know that everything I talk about in these commentaries is about Vedanta. It is actually not Vedanta itself. So on YouTube, on a talk like this, I can talk about Vedanta. But when we're talking about Vedanta proper, Vedanta and what it is can't be told to you. This is a very important thing. I can say to you really what your real nature is that it's spiritual, it's indestructible, it's full of peace and fullness. It is peace and fullness. I can do this. I can say that you're the self. Well, whoop-diddy-doody-dum. That is not going to make any difference to your life whatsoever, because Vedanta is a vision. It's actually a way of seeing. It's a result, and this way of seeing, which liberates you from suffering, doesn't just happen because someone's told you. When someone tells you an idea, you can take on the idea, but all you've done is you've added something to your mind. But that's not going to transform your life in any way possible. Now, Vedanta, first and foremost, is a process of inquiry. You remember a few ways back I was saying how one of the faculties we've got is that we can be aware of the world that it is, and we can be aware of ourselves. So in order to engage in inquiry, I have to engage in a process of listening. And Vedantic inquiry is listening to the unfoldment of a vision which is contained within the scriptures. In other words, I'm listening to a teacher, and she is unfolding a vision of what reality is, what the world is, what God is, and what I am. Now, as I listen, I may begin to actually see what she's talking about. But we're talking about, first and foremost, we're talking about an inquiry. And so here I am, I'm listening, I'm being attentive, and I'm exposing my mind to a vision, a way of seeing. I'm not exposing my mind to ideas. That's the first thing. Now, out of inquiry comes discovery. Now, discovery means to uncover, like something's covered over, and then to discover means to actually see something that you have never seen before. And again, the emphasis is here as you see something. So the fruit of inquiry is discovery. So when we're talking about Vedanta, we're talking about a very specific process of me listening to the Vedantic scriptures with a listening mind and exposing my mind to the vision that's contained within them, to such an extent that I find myself starting to see what the scriptures are talking about. So I begin to discover. So first of all, the process is I inquire, then I discover, and then I can, once I've discovered something, I've seen something, I can then contemplate it to the point where I begin to really understand it. Now, the Vedantic inquiry covers two facets of existence. It covers the fact of who is this I that is here? What is the content of me? When I say me, what am I referring to? Am I referring to my body, my mind, my reactions? So what is I? The second inquiry is an inquiry into this life that I'm living in this world, and how to understand this life in such a way, and to live this life in such a way, so understand and live this life in such a way that the quality of my mind is transformed to such a degree that I can come up to I can gain the capacity to, or come up to the necessary, how would I best put this? so that my mind is ready and able to listen to the teaching concerning who I am. Now, this is very important to understand that Vedanta is not a subject matter called Vedanta over there. Vedanta, the subject matter of Vedanta is me. What is the nature of me? And why this is considered so important is that when I really understand what I am, this frees me from suffering. This is the whole point. This is what what makes it relevant to my human existence. If it doesn't do anything, it just gives me a philosophical concept, but I still remain fearful, I still remain antagonistic, I still remain depressed or sad, I'm still in conflict with other people, I'm still compulsively doing things that are not in my best interest, that type of thing. If it doesn't have a relevance to human existence, it has no relevance at all. And the whole point of Vedanta is two things: is the knowledge concerning what I am, so who and what I am, what is my real nature, and secondly, the preparation to be able to understand that. And that preparation is incredibly down-to-earth and practical. It does not deny human existence. What it does is it transforms an understanding of living in such a way that the everyday living isn't always impacting on you. And the most important part of this living is to be able to, practically speaking, cease being in conflict with other people, with ourselves, and the world as it is. Because when we're in conflict, when we're in a state of fighting, oh, I hate that, I can't stand that, I wish I wasn't like that, I wish other people weren't like that, oh, the world completely sucks, all of those, that type of thing, that type of relation to the world where we're in constant friction means that our minds are not particularly steady, they're not very clear, and understanding can't occur in a mind that is like that. And what the psychology of the Gita is all about is it describes and unfolds a way of living in this world that transforms the quality of our mind. And so we've got two steps in Vedanta, because what it does is it takes us away from a very subjective view of the world to living seeing the world objectively, not absolutely objectively, but just relatively objectively. So we're seeing the world as it is, not as we would like it to be. And then, so we shift from a subjectivity, which Dhyana calls a subjective bubble, we live in this little bubble where we just interpret things, to where we start to see the world as it is. And then, from that relation to the world, which we're to a greater or lesser degree freed from the frictions and the travails of it, psychologically, we are in a position to then inquire into, by listening to the scriptures as unfolded by a qualified teacher, into what the nature of ourself is. So there's two things here. Now, I'm mainly going to be talking about the preparation, because that's what I kind of know a lot about. The preparation that enables us to discover the truth of ourselves, and the discovery of the truth of ourselves is valuable because it frees us from suffering. And it is freedom itself.